welcome back. I am your Walker X, and we are going to try to get Belia's order to leave from the village of Havenswood and travel to the spider's lair over here. Their patron Belia has spent a little bit of money and found out that there should be some really good treasure over here, and we have to get from the town of Havenswood to the spider's lair and back. They have a wagon with 2 draft horses, giving them 4 points of movement every day that they can try and get through. We have to see whether or not they can make it without being lost, running out of food, or chased down by goodness knows what. So they are leaving on, I believe, the 17th of January in world. So we have Lasim's Covenant is in blue, so we're going to get Belia's order in red and just mark them down as they are leaving. Havenswood. Okay. So, in the clear, they have a chance to get lost on a 1 on a d6. So I am going to grab... Aha, here we go. They got a 4. So they've got 4 points of movement they can use to try and get from here to there. Should be easy enough, right? We're going to try and cut around... We're going to try and cut through the farmland and take this trail through the forest. So the trail through the forest would normally take 2 points of movement, but the trail is only going to take 1. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that will have us start in the forest, which gives us an encounter on a 5 or a 6. With a 3, they do not get into an encounter, and we are going to take away 1 day's worth of food and rations. Once they get food and rations, they're the same thing. Food and water. Once they get to this day, they have to stop and take a rest. So now, we're going to start off, nobody's hurt, nobody's injured, we don't have to worry about rolling for hit points, so we are going to have them continue the journey. On a trail in the forest, they get lost on a 1. If they were off the trail, they would get lost on a 1 or a 2. They get lost on a 1, so they have to travel 1 hex in a random direction. 1 at the top and moving clockwise around. A 2. So they come off the trail and into the woods at a cost of 2, giving them 2 more points, which they're going to use to get back onto the trail. Because it only counts as a trail if you enter from either side. If you come in from off the trail onto it, it still counts as a regular forest tile to move through. And now we have to check and see if they have an encounter. With a 1, they're fine. If they start to run low on rations, they can swing by this food tile over here, or over here, and possibly grab some extra food, but we have to be careful if we come too far into the swamp. There is a black dragon that lives in the swamp and roams this area. So, we're going to take another one of their food and water die out of the way, and check again on, that would be the 19th. With a 2, they do not get lost because they're on the trail, so they're able to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and they are almost out of the woods. Now we have to check for an encounter. With a 4, they are fine. It would be on a 5 or a 6 in the forest, so they're fine with a 4. That takes another, so the 17th, the 18th, and the 19th are done. And we are going to start a new day by getting lost. Which way are we going to wander? A 3. 1, 2, 3. So they end up going southeast. Pardon me. They end up going southeast off the trail, Not as bad as it could be, but that takes 2 of their points of movement, and we are going to use another 2 points of movement to go right here. This puts us on the edge of the forest, but still in the forest. Encounters on a 5 or a 6. They got a 3, so there is no encounter, but that is day 20. They brought 2 weeks worth of food and rations. They may end up having to stop by and grabbing something out of the forest if they end up running low, because they're not quite there, about 2 days away. They should be okay, but they are still on a forest tile, so they can get lost on a 1 or a 2. But with a 4, they're okay, and we're going to skirt the edge of this. We're going to skirt the edge of this forested marshland here, and go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we will. Even if we get lost, we will be at the dungeon tomorrow. So we're going to roll for an encounter. With a 5 in the clear, there is no encounter. So we're going to take the food die for the 21st, and we are going to not get lost. So that puts us at the dungeon, which is in a forested tile. We are going to take the die for the 22nd, and because they only moved 2 tiles to get here, they don't get into an encounter yet. This happens halfway through the day. So everything is okay. On the 22nd at noon, we get to the dungeon. Belia's order, spider lair at noon. Okay? So now we can take all of those out of the way. Get our little thimble out of the way. And we can take the map and set it over here. And bring in the map for the spider's lair. Okay. So this map was generated. Let me get this out of the way. Stop it. This map was generated with a dungeon generator that I made a while back, and I will do my best to get it onto Google Sheets so that other people will have access to it. It's not the same as the one from Basic, but I like it. I know it's a little biased. I made it, but you know, it happens. So there are 40 different rooms in this spider's lair cave network for the party to explore. We're going to enter in from right here at the entrance to the cave. And I know it looks like it loops around, but imagine that it's kind of on a slant, so the bottom half is more like level 1.25 instead of level 2, with this being level 1. So we're going to grab our party and put them right here at the entrance. Pardon me. I'm going to take our food and ration die, food and rations. I'm going to take all of these die, set them over to the side, because these are going to be useful again for overland travel to make sure that we're keeping track of food and water and rations and what have you. And what we're going to do now is set up our turn and torch tracker. I don't have fancy tokens and what have you, but I do have a whole lot of D6. And nobody has a lantern, so I don't have anything super fancy to keep track of. And we're going to push the evens up. So we have random encounters on the evens. Yep. Because I'm taking them off from that way. We're going to have random encounters on the evens rolls. Try and get this a little better for you. There we go. Okay. We can move this out of the way, because we do not need the calendar or the overland encounter Right now, we need the dungeon. We need the dungeon monster information. We need what's in the dungeon, our party sheet, and one of these pieces of paper is the wandering monster chart. Where did I put it? You know, I thought I did all of the paperwork for all of this yesterday so that I would have everything that I needed where it's supposed to be. But I would be wrong. Where did that go? Well, this is moderately embarrassing. Is it still on the notepad? Aha! That's where it was. It was still on the notepad. So this dungeon is full of giant Black Widow spiders. There are a lot of them. So we will see how a party of first level adventurers is going to deal with that. So Belia's Order has a female cleric and a male elf, a male magic user, an NB thief, a female and male halfling. They're all level 1, and this is their first adventure, so nobody has a name yet. But we're going to go ahead and set up the party's marching order so that if they get into trouble, we know how they're lined up. And now we're going to put some tokens on the ones that have the torches. We're going to have our magic user carry a torch, and we're going to have the thief carry a torch. So the thief and the halflings have some bows. Excuse me. Our magic user has hold portal ready. The cleric is in chainmail with a shield with a warhammer, and they've got a pretty good strength. So they're, even though they've only got 1 hit point, they're still a pretty decent frontline fighter. But I mean, in a party where everyone's got between 1 and 4 hit points, everybody's got 1 hit point. Our thief is in leather with a spear and a longbow, and all of our archers, including the elf, the 2 halflings, and the thief, all have 5 silver arrows in addition to their regular arrows, because we did hear that in the dungeon to the northwest there were whites, and the party that tried to attack them... Oh, what's this? Okay. Well, thank you, Ibrahim. I don't have a Discord for this yet, but thanks for stopping in. It's a pleasure to have you. So what we're going to try and do is get the cleric and the elf to be the front line, and our 2 halflings are also in chain with spears. Spears can reach over the front line, so we can have a front and back rank, and we've got a fairly significant portion of archers, so heavens forbid we get attacked from the back, they can hold their own for a minute while the group reforms. Try the best that we can, and our elf has protection from evil prepared for the day. So, everybody's where they're supposed to be. We are right here in the entrance, and as we enter into the dungeon and begin to explore, there are secret doors in this room. Pardon me. There are secret doors in this room. So our elf has a 1 in 2 chance to see them just passing by, and a 1 through 4 chance to see them if they're actively searching for them, but they have no reason to actively search yet. So we're just going to see if our elf sees them. With a 2, our party does notice these secret doors leading to a winding, sloping tunnel down to the 2nd level. They know that there is absolutely nothing they need to do with the 2nd level first rattle out of the box, but they know that there is a way into the second level right here. So we will save that for later. And as they are exploring, the giant spider in the room is going to try and get the jump on them. And we're going to roll. The white die is for the party, and the black die is for the NPCs. But the white die is for the party, and the black die is for the black blah 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 words. The white die is for the party. The black die is for the Black Widow spider. But the Black Widow noticed the party and is not surprised by them, so we're not going to roll that one. Only the party can be surprised on a 1 or a 2. It's a 4, so they hear the spider coming, and we have initiative. So now, white is the party, black is the Black Widow. The Black Widow wins initiative and rushes the party. So we've got the Black Widow coming at the party. She can either come at them from evens or odds. She's going to come at the party from the side and charge into the side of the group. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 characters that she can hit. Let me get my D4. 1, 2. The Black Widow is going after the thief. So our thief is in leather armor, and the Black Widow is attacking with a bite. A bite is effectively a dagger, and where did I put it? So much paperwork. Here we go. Instead of using THAC0 or base attack bonuses and a D20, I like to use a modified version of the weapons versus armor target numbers that Daniel from Bandits Keep put together. And it works out really well. Everyone that I've had use it really gets the hang of it pretty quickly. So we have our Black Widow Spider attacking with a 1+1 with a bite, which is a dagger, against leather armor. So she needs a 6, she needs 5 or better on this 2d6 roll to score a hit against the thief. That is a 7, which brings it to an 8, which is not good. So she's going to get 2d6 points of damage against our thief. Oh, that's really not good. Okay. So, first, we have to save against death because our thief has been brought down to 0 hit points to see if they actually die. With a 20, they do not die. Now, we have to save against poison from the spider's poison to see if they are going to die from the poison. And our thief saves against death and poison with a 13. Okay. Ooh, that's not good. So, with an 11, our thief will die in 1 turn. Pardon me. So our thief has 10 minutes to live until the Black Widow Spider's venom just takes him completely out. That's rough. But now it's the party's turn. And the party is going to have the magic user. First, we're going to move. The magic user is going to move back. The 2 halflings are going to move up. And the thief is going to move back, letting the cleric in. Well, no, the thief is going to lay on the floor unconscious, is what the thief is going to do. And the cleric is going to kind of there. Yeah, the elf will move over, the cleric moves in, and now everyone's going to stab. So our Black Widow is in leather plus shield. I know a Black Widow can't carry a shield, but... So we're going to have everyone with a spear, which is 3 spear attacks. And I can do Two of them right now are halflings. Here we go. Nobody gets a bonus on their rolls, but the elf gets a +1 to attack and damage because of their strength. So these are these are for the two halflings. They need, with a spear against leather and a shield, they need 8s. Oh, 6 and 7. So both of them miss. Our cleric is swinging a warhammer with a +1/+1. Leather and a shield. The cleric needs 6. That is 6 on the nose, so they're going to do some damage in a second. And the elf has a spear with a +1/+1, so they need an 8. That is 6. Even with a 7, they don't hit. So the cleric hits with their warhammer. Warhammer is 1d6/1. So that's 7 points of damage against the Black Widow Spider's 3 hit die. 3, 5, 7. Okay. So this Black Widow has 5 hit points left. And now we're back at the top of the initiative order. Yep, there we go. Okay. The party goes first, and everyone's going to do a stab. So we've got our two halflings. They need 8s. That's 1 hit. Spear does a d6. That is 3 more points. The spider has 2 left. Here is our cleric. They need a 10'll work. And the elf, that'll work as well. Okay. So cleric and elf's damage. Oh, that's more than enough. They stab the spider a whole bunch of times. So unfortunately, our thief is going to die, and there's nothing that we can do about that. So long, thanks for all the fish. So we're going to put our thief up here face down, and we are going to readjust the party over here. We're going to give the... What am I trying to say? We're going to give the torch to the elf. Actually, we're going to give the torch to the cleric, because the torch counts as a club. If we get into a fight, they can always drop it. But we're in room 1. The fight takes 1 turn. So that brings us off of that one. And we search the room for treasure and find an entire 27 silver pieces, which is so much money. So we're going to just make a note of that real quick. 27 silver and 1 Black Widow. And the party has a very sobering realization of just how dangerous this dungeon is going to be. But we've got over here, up there, and over here that we can explore. But we're already standing next to room 4, so the party is going to enter into room 4, where they will encounter 11 different Zwerfneblin just milling about in the area. As they encounter them at the end of turn 1, or at the end of turn 2, we're going to have a Wandering Monster check. It is a 5, so we don't have anything going on there. But now we have to check, did the party or the Zwerfneblin surprise each other? Well, the party is surprised by the Zwerfneblin, so now we have to roll their reaction. With a 6, the Zwerfneblin are uncertain, but since they have surprise, we don't know that we're there. We stumble into them, they're like, ah, geez, what's going on? With a 6 again, they are willing to negotiate. Hey, what's going on? What's happening over here? We just lost one of our friends to a giant spider over there. Is everything going okay over here? Like, what's what's happening, what's going on over here. And at that moment, we figure out that there's a deadfall trap in this room, so we have a 1 in 6 chance of setting that trap off. It is a 3. The trap doesn't go off. We have no idea that there's a trap here. So we continue negotiating with this Verfneblin. They're telling us that they know some secrets about this dungeon. What are we willing to pay for it? But we don't have a whole lot of money. We've got 27 silver and some of the thieves' belongings, which really aren't that much. Like, are they willing to tell us the secrets for the 27 silver and the thieves' kit that we have no use for? It's pretty even odds, so we're going to come over here and use a modified Matt Jackson Oracle. I don't have a lot of D6. Well, I have a lot of D6, but I found some neat color-coded D10s over at my friendly local game store, so we are going to use them. Green is for yes, they'll help us. Red is for no, go away. Oh, a 2 is ever so slightly below a 3, so they are willing to help us for the 27 silver and our thieves' thief kit. So we're going to get rid of the 27 silver. And where did I put the party table? Here we go. We remove the 27 silver and get rid of the kit off of our thief and mark them as dead. Okay. And then the Zverfneblin, true to their word, show us the secret door going down into room 5. And then they leave, taking their treasure with them. Excuse me. There we are. There's the water. Excuse me, I gotta take a drink real quick. So, excuse me. The Zverfneblin opened the secret door between rooms 4 and 5, letting us into the room, at which point we see a very large collection of gems and jewelry laying on the ground. As we go to get the gems and jewelry, that ends, excuse me, as our party goes to pick up this massive collection of gems and jewelry, that ends turn 3, at which point a group of veterans enter in from the south, entering from room 6, and now we roll surprise. The veterans are surprised, and there are 8 of them. We do not have access to the sleep spell. They see the treasure, we see the treasure. What's their reaction? Well, their reaction is surprised. Are we going to fight these? Are we going to fight this group of veterans? Are we going to try and negotiate with them? Well, let's find out. Are we going to fight the veterans and take the treasure? Yes, we are. Okay. So, veterans are tough, but they're not that tough. We got surprise on them, so they are more than a melee move away. Our party is going to start by loosing all of their arrows, and we have a fairly significant number of arrows. We've got a sling off of the cleric and the magic user, and then we've got longbow shots off both halflings and the elf. So we are going to check for both halflings. Veterans are in Brigandine plus Shield. And our longbow needs 8s to hit Brigandine and Shield. Unfortunately, double 5s will not do anything. But now our elf is going to try. They need an 8 as well. And an 11 will very much hit. A longbow is a D8 damage. For 8 points of damage off of a veteran's 5. One of the veterans just drops with an arrow right in the chest, leaving 7 more. There we go. That'll work for hit points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. There we go. Moving back a little bit. There. Okay. We release a hail of arrows into the veteran, or into the group of veterans. The elf felling one, the cleric and magic user both attacking with their slings. They need 10s to hit. And the cleric will score a hit. A sling is a d4. 3 points of damage. Okay. And we're going to have them go for a d6 plus 1 starting here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this one takes 3 points of damage, dropping them to 2. The veterans roll morale on taking their first casualty, but their morale is a 9. So as long as they roll below 9, which a 4 is, they're still in the fight. They have short bows and are going to return fire. Our cleric and our elf are in the front rank, so they are going to take the most of the fire. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, we'll do them 2 at a time. Veterans attack with a +1. Cleric and elf are both in chain, I believe. Chain plus shield. Okay. So with short bows, they need 10s to hit. Well, they would need 9s, so that's 2 down. 4. 1 hit. And the last is not. So we have 1 hit. Evens, odds. Odds. Okay, so 1 hit to the elf with 6 points, d6 damage. 4 points. Our elf takes a solid shot to the chest, and that is enough to make them drop, and they have to save versus death. Our elf saves versus death with a 12, which a 2 is not, as our elf goes down. Not so good. Not so good. Okay. Fair enough. So with the elf going down, that leaves our party in fairly bad straits, but also incredibly after the money. So that's okay. Now, we are going to roll initiative again. Winning the initiative we are going to continue firing. Nope, we are going to charge to melee because our spears are better than our longbows at trying to hit them. So our cleric is going to charge into melee, tanking the front 2 with our halflings coming up behind and starting to stab in. And so our cleric with a warhammer, excuse me, a cleric with a warhammer against Brigandine needs 7s. She needs a 6. That is just enough to hit for a d6 plus 1. That'll kill either one, so we're going to get rid of that one. And now our 2 halflings, they both need spears. They need 7s. Neither of those will hit. Okay. The magic user stays there. These 2 are going to charge up. And you can't shoot into melee, so they are going to hold the line behind. Unfortunately, our cleric only has 1 hit point, and the brigands are attacking with swords. Okay. A sword against chain and shield needs 9s, so they need 8s. So we'll do the one on the left. That is definitely a hit, and it... Okay. And then we're going to check the other 2. Another hit and another hit. Well, this didn't go well at all. So that is 3 separate saves versus death that our cleric has to make. Our cleric is saving at an 11, so that's 1 pass. And the cleric dies. Okay. So that is our cleric down. Sorry about that. That is our cleric down. At which point our party, for what it is going to throw their hands up, and they are going to, they're just going to throw their hands up and try to run away. Because you can't fire into melee, and there was a melee there, it's back to initiative, and we win the initiative and are able to break and run. So we break and run around this way, unfortunately leaving the treasure behind. So these veterans are able to come in and get all of that loot as well. Which is unfortunate, leaving us with a party of 3, the 2 halflings and the magic user. They're stuck in the dungeon, and now we have to see, are the veterans going to chase after us, even like we round the corner, so it's a 50-50 shot. Are they going to give up the fight? Green they leave, red they follow. Green they leave. So the veterans, happy with their take, just start picking up all of the money and getting ready to do whatever they do. Our party, very much the worse for wear, is going to try and come back into the room with the Zwerfneblin, and on anything but a 1 or a 2, they are gone. The Zwerfneblin have left, and we are going to... We have nothing. Like, we have absolutely nothing. We cannot go back to town with nothing at all. So we have to try and figure out, what are we going to do? We're going to listen at room 3 to see, is there anything in there? So both halflings can hear on, well, everyone can hear on a 1. No one can hear anything if there is anything there, which is very not good because there are 2 Black Widows in that room. This might be the first TPK of this series. Well, not the first TPK. We've had some pretty rough ones in the very, very beginning, but it happens. So they're gonna push into room 3. When they enter room 3, we have even odds to see if anyone is surprised. Oh no. We're surprised by the 2 Black Widows who are between 1 and 10 to 30 feet away. They are directly above us in the ceiling. All that's gone. So the Black Widows are going to come down and attack the party. So the one on the left and the one, well, yeah. Stop it. On evens, this one is going to attack the halfling. On odds, it's going to attack the magic user. So this one is going to drop down on the halfling. The same here, evens the halfling, odds the magic user. The 2 Black Widows are going to drop down onto the halflings and attack. They have daggers against chainmail plus shield. And they attack with +1s. So that is a 9 and an 8. Dagger, chain, and shield is 11s. Okay, so the halflings are okay. Giant spiders drop down on them, try to bite them, freak out. But now, we're at initiative. And I believe our party is just going to run. We win the initiative, and we just... No. It's not worth it. We are leaving. And so the party breaks and runs. We weren't even able to recover the magic user's spellbook for the other, or the elf's spellbook for the magic user. But there's no way we can go back in there. There's not. So give me 1 second to reorganize. We also lost the cleric. Okay. So the party had to leave. There was no way they were going to be able to stand up to anything else in the dungeon. It's too much for them at this point. So they have to leave the dungeon and try to find something to come home with. That is upside down. So they are going to do a little bit of exploration once they come out of the dungeon, spend the night recovering, and then take their day of rest. So they are right here. And we have to bring these back out. They weren't able to, well, they left the rations in the cart, so with half the party, that gives us a whole other week's worth of food that we can use to explore with. So we have another set of charts that we have, So we have another set of charts that the party can use to explore random hexes on the way home. Exploring a hex costs the same amount of movement that it would cost to enter that hex. So if we were to try and explore one of these forested marshlands, that would cost 2, because it's 2 to enter, 2 to explore. It would take 1 to explore one of the grasslands, so on and so forth. So the party is going to come around and back into the forest, and they're going to start trying to explore around here and see if they can find anything important enough that they can take back to Belia and say, hey, it went really bad. We were woefully underprepared for the dungeon, but we found this. So, always worth trying. But now they have to roll for an encounter for staying the night here. On a 5 or a 6, there is an encounter. It is in a forest, so we've got this handy dandy sheet right here. Which doesn't have the right information on it. Alright, cool. I forgot to print that. That tells me what kind of stuff to roll, but it doesn't tell me what to roll by terrain type. That's still in the Google Sheet because I am very smart. BXD&D. Equipment. Party chart. Wandering. Overland? Overland random encounters. Okay. We are in the forest, so on a D8. Stop it, phone. Where'd my D8? There we go. On a 1, it is men. On men, it's a D12. A 4 is a wizard traveling in the forest. Alright, the wizard has 2d12, 2d6 follow, 11. Okay, this is really good. So we've got a wizard traveling with 11 minions, which is almost the most that they can have. And they have a 15% chance to be in or around their lair. We found a wizard's tower. Okay. So let me pull up the right thing. Where did I put it? Oh, I closed it because I'm very smart. All right. Give me 1 second. History. Recently. This one. Control F. Evasion. Our party size is, there are 3 party members, but there's also the wagon and 2 horses, which puts us at a party size of 5. There are over 60% of them, which brings us to 70, but we have a 25% chance because it is in, we get a 25% bonus because it's in the forest. And that means that our evasion chance is 95. So we found a wizard's lair. And wizard is not just a magic user, but also a level of magic user. So they are very high. So we mark that down, and now we roll for evasion. 89. We are able to evade. So we escape notice, and we find a wizard's tower in the same hex as the spider's lair. So that may or may not be worth something. All right, let's check real quick what kind of treasure a wizard and their apprentices would have. And we'll come around to that later. I think all men have C-type, but whatever. Not a big deal. We can always figure that out later. So we evade the wizard, and now we have our day of rest, which means another random encounter on a 5 or a 6. It's a 1, so we do not get into anything, okay? We came out of the dungeon again on the 20th, where we found the wizard's lair, and that was the 23rd that we rested. So now, we are going to try and leave. And we're trying to get into the forest on the other side of the food to explore around over here, so that if things go bad, we can always just leave and go home. Scoot, scoot, scoot. There we go. All the way. There we go. Okay. Pardon me. So, we have to check and see if we get lost. We do not. So we're able to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're in the clear. And we check for random encounters. Nope, there's no random encounter. So we take this die and put it right there. The next day, do we get lost? We do, so now we have to spend one movement in a random direction. 1, 2, 3, come down here, okay. 2, enter the forest on 3, and down 1 hex for 4. Now we check for random encounters. Nope, not a 5 or a 6 on the 25th. Okay. Excuse me. Because it's a forested path, they're lost on a 1. A 6 is not a 1. And we're able to go 1, 2, 3. And we are going to spend a point to explore this hex that we are in. Pardon me. We're going to explore the hex that we are in. So we roll 2d6, giving me a 7. And with a 7 on the wilderness chart, we find a ruined structure. which brings us to a percentile. With an 82, there are ancient statues. Okay, those may or may not be valuable. I really got to quit kicking that. Who knows if Belia is going to be interested in that or not? The only way to find out is to mark them down and let her know. And an easy way to mark them is a little trick that we picked up from Bandit's Keep. It is 8.5 in from the left. Probably easier to measure this from here. And 10.5 up. Alright, and we've already marked that the wizard's lair is in the spider's lair. Okay, so now we roll for an encounter. A 2, there is no encounter, and we take that day, put it over there. The next morning, we wake up and we check to see if we're lost. It's a 1 on the forest, so we are not lost. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So because that took all of our movement, we can't explore this hex today. We just check for a random encounter. With a 1, we do not get one. And that brings us over here. And the next morning, we are lost because it's a 1 or a 2. So we have to move in a random direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which puts us in that forest tile, taking 2 points. But that's okay, because we can explore that forest tile. And that'll be 2d6. For a 12, in the wilderness, we have something's lair. Okay, alright, that's convenient. Now we come back over here. Where did I put that page? Not any of them. Okay, let's copy that, go here, paste that, go there. Oh. Here we go, okay. In the woods, we roll a d12. Next time I will have this chart. That is a 12. Nope, that's not right. It's a d8. A 2. In the woods is the lair of a flyer. This isn't an encounter, so we don't have to invade them, but we do find the lair of a flying type creature. So, what kind of flying creature do we find the lair of? Now we roll the d12. With an 8, we find the lair of some wyverns. Okay, that is incredibly close to town. Interesting. Alright. Well, there are between 1 and 6 wyverns in the lair. There's only 1 wyvern. Okay, that's good. Alright. Well, let's check the expert book and find out how many hit die a wyvern has and what kind of treasure it's got. Alright, fine, be that way. Not in this book. Okay. Okay, not in that book. Okay, we need the wyvern. Where are the monsters? X28, okay. Whales. They killed our whales. A 7 hit die wyvern with treasure type echo. Okay, okay. Okay. Generators. Treasure by type. Treasure type echo. I mean, that's not bad. That's 1,700 gold. So the wyvern's lair has 1,200 silver, or 2,000 silver, and 3,000 electrum. Now, we check and see. With a green, the wyvern is not home, and with a red, the wyvern is very much home, and our party is in grave danger. The wyvern is not home, a 10 beats a 3, so our party is going to grab all that money, 2,000 silver, 3,000 electrum, and they are going to run for their lives. But that's the end of the day. We have to roll for an encounter. If there is an encounter, that encounter is with the wyvern. An encounter on a 5 or a 6. It's a 4. They do not get into the encounter with the wyvern. Now we have to check and see if we get lost. With a 4, we do not get lost. 1, 2, 3, they make it home. As we take another... Okay. So they left on the 17th, and they returned on the 28th. Good job, the remaining 3 members of Belia's order. And we need to mark down the measurements for the wyvern's lair, because it will acquire more treasure. And that is 10 1/4 left. Stop it. And 10 up. Just because it's been looted this time doesn't mean it's not going to have more treasure, because now there's a wyvern right here, and a wyvern's radius is what, 5 hexes in any given direction? There's plenty for it to loot. There's Havenswood, there's the Watchtower, there's the ruins of Hollyford, there's the dungeon that ran off the first party, there's all this farmland. Like, there's a lot for that wyvern to get into, and there's a non-zero chance that there might be more later. But that seems as good a place as any to call it. Thank you so much for joining me. It has truly been a pleasure. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the normal things. Thank you. Take care, stay safe, and have a wonderful day. And